Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing yellow house books. We've done a number of videos on this channel about yellow house books. For those who are unaware, in Thailand there's what's called a civil registrar system. Notably, it's a house book system. It's a rather sort of common methodology. It's sort of like a running census. And it's pretty common in Asia, especially East Asia. You see them in other countries, these house books. Notably, I had a client in Taiwan that had to, and I found out, yeah, they had a house book system very similar to Thailand. And and there's other jurisdictions here that have very similar things, in Cambodia, for example. And long story short, in Thailand, there's this thing called a house book, and Thai nationals or permanent residents are generally in house books exclusively. But back in, I believe, 1991, they amended the law and allowed foreign nationals to be entered into what's called a yellow house book, or Baan. In Thai, it's called a Baan. But yellow house books are for foreign nationals. Now, to be clear, they're non-immigrant foreign nationals. Immigrant foreign nationals are permanent residents. They can go into a blue house book, just like a Thai citizen. But a non-immigrant visa holder can only get into a yellow house book. Which leads us to the question, and the question of this video, is it really worth the hassle? Well, and I know I sound like a broken record sometimes, but it depends on your circumstances. There's going to be folks that it's really a good thing for. I would argue the cost-benefit analysis is going to shift, I would argue, depending on age. And what I mean to say by this is, I know a lot of retirees that come in, especially in their late 60s, early 70s, and they'll talk to me about possibly getting a house book. Generally speaking, I don't really see what the overall benefit is to those folks. Now, it may be a major benefit. They may feel they need it. They want the documentation. You know, if you're a little older, I would say, you know, the benefit of it goes down the older you get. This is especially the case when I find that a lot of these folks, they're often doing it because they want to get the pink ID card. There's a Thai ID card. It's a pink ID card for non-Thai nationals that it runs part and parcel with a yellow house book. And now, while in certain circumstances I would certainly agree that a yellow house book is a real benefit, especially for younger folks, it is a good document. It's an ID document, for lack of a better term. And you know, the more ID documentation you can have as a foreigner in Thailand, I guess in a certain sense, the better. But if you're doing it only to get that pink ID, there is kind of an alternative, and that is get yourself a Thai driving license. It's an ID. It's accepted. It's a state ID. It's basically the same, if not better in many ways, to the pink ID card. Insofar as the pink ID card is just an ID card, whereas a driving license is a driving license. At least it confers the ability to drive in Thailand. Getting back on topic, though, is it overall worth the hassle? Well, it is a convoluted process. It can take a lot of time, can take a lot of resources and energy to get it done, and it doesn't really confer many great benefits. It just is what it is. You're on a house book. You're registered to that address. It helps with certain things. It can be helpful in certain types of applications, but in and of itself, it doesn't confer a great deal of benefit. So again, it's going to depend on your circumstances whether or not you feel it's worth the hassle to go through the process to get a yellow house book.